evening, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I am very tired. I have just seen A Man Called Otto. And that was a movie. That was probably one of the saddest movies I've seen in a movie theater in a long time. If you listen to this show, you know I'm not someone who shies away from telling you if I cry at a movie. You know, Interstellar was a big one. I think we acknowledged that years ago. I went into Christopher Robin expecting to get hit by it, but I didn't. Bow got me. This is another one of them. In the Heights, also, which also In the Heights may have also just been the being back in the movies for the first time. It's such a long time to see a movie like that, and then for it to also hit emotionally from the second act on. This is another one that really. So it's like, I'm not going to go through the entire plot because it's really worth watching this movie. I'm watching this, and if you saw the first 10 minutes of Up and thought, hey, what if we stretch this out over 2 hours, and intersperse in what the old man is doing in the present, and just remove the fantastic adventure of it all, and just have him be the old curmudgeon who learns to live again. And just intersperse that in the middle of the flashbacks, and just cut the flashbacks up, and it just works so well. This is just such a great movie. Like, the whole backstory, and they give the backstory in such a slow drip feed of information that it gives you just enough when you need it. And because we're seeing so much, when we get to this big moment in the third act, where he's talking to Marisol, who's the girl who moved in across the street with her husband and her 2 kids, and he's just telling her, he's basically just laying everything out for her. Like, I had the, and then him telling her, I was gonna try and kill myself. It's just such a sad, great moment. And I think that this is another one of those things where, you watch the movie, and I think that if it's not Tom Hanks, I don't know if this movie works. I think it's just Tom Hanks can have the ability to play the guy who's this crusty old curmudgeon who doesn't allow, who doesn't allow for anyone to, doesn't let anyone in, and then to also pivot to these moments of deep emotional, deep emotional vulnerability, and to be able to play both is an achievement in and of itself. And for him to be able to do it so well is just amazing. The girl who plays Marisol, I don't know the actress's name, but she definitely deserves some props for this, because she did such a good job in this movie. And it's like, we've talked about it, if you listen back to the Beware of Spoilers that Peter and I did last weekend for the year in review. We talk a little bit about Clerks 3, and we talk about Brian O'Halloran acting against Rosario Dawson being this fantastic actress who's done everything. And Brian O'Halloran is great for what he's doing, and when he's acting against Jeff Anderson and the other people in this movie who are not, fantastic actors, it kind of all evens out. But then when you put him in a scene with Rosario Dawson, especially when you get to the third act, it's a great. It doesn't look great, and this woman who I've never seen before, who plays Marisol, does such a great job of holding her own in these emotional scenes with Tom Hanks that it's going to be. I think she's got a good career ahead of her. Because just like there's just so much that she gets to really dig into in this movie, and she gets to come from the place of like she also plays a character who's wildly different scene to scene. Like she get like, and not in a way where it's like it's tonally dissonant or anything like that, or you get tonal whiplash, but in a way where she talks to like she kind of puts on the facade of being like fierce and all of that, but she gets to play the emotion once you break through that, and it works very well. And I think that all of the flashback stuff with Hanks' son playing the young version of him is all so well done. And what really works about so much of it is how little dialogue there is. So you're getting to just live in these small moments and just watch these two people slowly fall in love and then have that all taken. And I think the marketing really, one of the things that annoyed me about everything around the movie, not the movie itself, but the marketing of the movie, was that I've seen TV spots for this movie all throughout on Sundays when I watch football, and you end up with these, the scene with him with the clown. The minute they explain where that quarter came from, I was like, oh, I completely understand why he does what he does to the clown. I completely understand it. Once you get to that moment, I'm like, once they explain the origin of the quarter, where it's like when he met his wife for the first time, he's returning her book and he ends up on the wrong train to return the book to her, and she gives him the money for the train, and it's $1.75, so she gives him the other dollar. She gives him a what's it called? She gives him $2, and she says, "Well, just keep the quarter. It's fine. It's no big deal." And the quarter, is from before they went over to putting copper in the quarters, and he's like, "Oh, it's pure silver." And she says, "Well, keep it then. It's good luck." And he holds on to it. And it's this running thing where every day he's going to kill himself, and they do it all so well. Where he's going to hang himself first, and it doesn't work. He's going to suffocate himself with the exhaust of his car, but it doesn't work. And all of it works so well in the context of the movie. And I think that like getting to see that he has grown as a person over the course of this is just it is so well done. And it really is. It's a character-driven movie, so it's all about watching Tom Hanks grow. And if you don't believe his growth as a character, and all through the movie, it's not a sudden thing. And I think that was one of my top concerns. And I don't think it would have been his fault. I think it would have been the edit's fault or the script's fault, depending on where that lies. I was concerned about the possibility that we would get to the end of the movie and he would not, and he wouldn't go through any character growth by the time we reach the third act, and it would just be like the sudden turn. Like, and the Grinch's heart through 3 sizes that day, and that's where I thought the movie was going to be. But you see these small cracks in the facade all through the movie. Like, he's hanging out with the kids and he's talking about and he's reading them the book, and he's reading, like, and all that. The scene with him and Marisol when he's teaching her to drive, there's the great comedic beat that we see in, great comedic beat as a stretch, but there's a comedic beat that we see in the trailer where he's like, "Oh, it's okay, you almost, it's a hybrid." Like, that was something, and it's like the way the movie portrays it is a little different from what actually, from the marketing, but either way, like, that scene works. And there's a scene right after where it's like she's learning to drive, and she's learning to drive not a regular, an automatic, which most cars are now. She's learning to drive manual, and she can't get it going, and the car behind her is beeping and beeping and beeping, and she's getting flustered and all of that, because she's like, okay, I gotta get going because this guy's beeping me and all of that. And he's like, look, and the guy he's beeping, he goes out and threatens the guy, and he's like, you beep one more time, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. And he goes back in the car, and he goes, and he lists out all the great things that this woman has done. Like, you came from another country, you learned an entirely new language, you put yourself through school, you did this, you did that, and you are not an idiot. Like, it's such a great moment for him to have that realization that, like, there are other people in the world who are, you know, and he, like, what he would consider an equal, even though, you know, he, like, what he considers an equal is a little bit nebulous, but whatever. It works so well. Everything about that just works so well. And again, if it's not Hanks, I don't know how many other actors out there could carry that. And then when you get to these, and the thing is too, it's like all of the things with, like, the explanation as to why he doesn't have kids is, that was the thing I think I was like, let's be honest here, the arc that they go through, him and his wife, is the identical to the arc of him and his, Carl and Ellie in Up, where it's like, they of what they go through in life leading up to Ellie's death, in this case Sonya's death, and it's a similar arc. So when we get to the end, Sonya also ends up paralyzed too, so he has to make that adjustment, and then him watching his life get, you know, his friendships get upended and all of that. It's just so sad. And then when we get to, I think that, like, I said I wasn't going to go too deep into the plot, but the movie is just so good. It's everything to do with him getting one over on the guys, the real estate people, is just so well done, and it's just that final moment of him just being like, I got, like, him standing up for these people that he now sees as his found family is so well done. And Malcolm's great too. Malcolm's a character they have in the movie, who was a former student of his wife. And then it's like when they explain what it was about his life that turned him into the old curmudgeon, was not just not just what happened to Sonya, but also what happened to, like, the fact that there was no one willing to care. Sonya was like, just don't make this your life. Just live your life for you. Don't let it all be about me. Oh, it's just so well done. And then for him to have that as he's sitting there ready to shoot himself, and we're seeing the flashback to the death of his the death of his unborn kid, and when Sonya ended up paralyzed, for that to end, and they do this very well throughout the movie, where the flashbacks will end with something a little further in the future, just so that way it'll, you know, you get that little bit of context later. Like her coming to him in the dream state, kind of, when he's sitting there and he has the gun to his chin, and she's like, just, you have to live your life for you, not for me. It's such a great way to end off that arc, like that whole thing. This movie is just fantastic. I think this is going to be a very hard one to not get into my top 10 at the end of the year. I realize that it is the second week of January, but granted, last year I did say that for The Northman, which came out in March, The Batman, which also came out in March, and Everything Everywhere All at Once, which came out in, like, April. So I think this is a serious contender for top 10 of 2023, which is pretty fantastic coming out of the gate. Such a well done movie, and it's just, it hits just the right emotional notes for it to do that. And by the way, before we wrap up for the night, if you are going to a movie, number one, I think I've discussed this, urinal rules apply. Urinal rule being, if there's an open seat, do not take the seat right next to someone else. This is especially true if they're sitting by themselves, and I don't necessarily want you and your girlfriend to take the seat directly next to me when we're in an entire empty row. That's problem number one. Problem number two, if you do that because you're deranged, because that's the thing too, it's like, if I see someone sitting by themselves, I'm not sitting by them, because I don't know if they're, like, a public masturbator, or if they're a theater shooter, or if they're a weird person in general. I realize this as someone who goes to the movies by himself at least once, if not twice a week, but I just don't think that I would sit next to that person. But if you do want to sit next to that person, be a little courteous. And what I mean by that is, when we're watching the trailers before the movie, I'm not here to listen to you tell me what you think of every trailer. I don't need you to editorialize after every trailer. I know 80 for Brady looks like shit. And I'm sure your boyfriend also knows that 80 for... Or no, the boyfriend was the one who was doing this, not the girlfriend. I'm sure your girlfriend knows 80 for Brady looks like shit. I don't think that we necessarily... I don't think we necessarily need you to be like, this looks stupid. I know it looks stupid. No one watching this is like, oh, this is going to be a great idea. Let's make 1 million of these. No, it looks stupid. Everyone involved in seeing this trailer is like, this looks stupid. Unless you live in, New England. And even then, seeing Brady play for the Patriots might still be a sore subject for them. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily that I don't know. I don't know who that movie's for. Anyway, we'll wrap up there for today. Tomorrow we will be doing a review of the finale of Willow. Today we did Velma in the morning. Tomorrow we'll be doing Willow, the finale. Sunday we will be doing the review of the most recent episode. I think it's episode 6 of National Treasure. Then we have a review of Plane in the afternoon tomorrow, the new movie with Gerard Butler. And we will have a new episode of 30-minute reviews next week. For Searching, we will be doing Missing and Beware of Spoilers next week. And we will also be doing a new episode of Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. Josie and I will be recording that tomorrow. It is the next one we're doing is a show. We're doing Andor, and then we're also doing a movie. And then the next week we're going to be doing a book. We're doing Kenobi 2006, the book. But we'll wrap up there for today. So, until our next episode, have a great